In this present crisis, government is not the solution to our problem. Government is the problem.
Real Americans, please stand up. No more hiding your face in the sand. Well, real Americans, please stand up. Divided we're falling, but united we'll stand up, stand strong, stand tall, and we'll keep these walls from falling. Stand up, stand.
Caution, you are about to hear the conservative voice. Freedom Report begins right now.
And welcome, folks, to the Freedom Report, powered by the Madison Institute. I'm Kelly Berry, sitting in for Daniel Moss. Daniel is on vacation for a few weeks and doing some family things. So we're gonna push right along here and provide some really entertaining information for you and a good show. Last week we had George Berry and Hugh McInnish on the show with us, and we were talking about the white paper that Hugh had written regarding Obama's birth certificate and the eligibility issue for him to be president. Today on this show, we're going to talk about the activities that have happened since that white paper was published, and the press conference. And Hugh, I think you've had some court dealings. So take it away. Tell us what's happened since then.
A little minor stuff here.
Absolutely.
Okay. I did not win a Pulitzer for my white paper.
But it was very good. I hope the audience has had a chance to look at it.
But I decided that I would try to present it to some of our so-called leaders in Montgomery.
Okay.
And so I went through considerable rigmarole, but I got permission to hold a press conference on the steps of the Capitol.
Wow.
In Montgomery.
Okay.
And I went down there with my good friend George and my other good friend Dean Johnson, who has been my loyal attorney in this effort. And down to Montgomery we went. We went first to the Attorney General's office. We did not get to see Luther Strange himself, but we met with one of his attorneys. He took us into a conference room.
Okay.
We sat around the table. I gave him a copy of the white paper, and we briefed him on it, and he asked questions, and we answered them. And we told him what we thought about the birth certificates, and we told him that we thought Mr. Obama was a forger. And incidentally, let me say this. No one says that Barack Obama literally took pen in hand or typewriter in hand and physically made the forgery. No one says that. But certainly, if it is a forgery, and it was commissioned by Mr. Obama. And Obama, I will use a legal phrase here which has a special meaning. Obama uttered it. That means that he presented it as bona fide when he knew that it was false.
Yeah, he had a press conference and showed it.
He gave it went into the press room in the White House. He gave it to the reporters there, knowing it would be disseminated countrywide and, in fact, worldwide.
Right.
So he uttered that, for example, in each of the 5,000 counties, or ever how many there are, in the United States.
Right.
He has committed a forgery in Madison County, for example.
Yes, he has.
Now, back to Montgomery. George and Dean and I, as I have said, went to the Attorney General's office, and from there we went to the, I can't remember, we went to both the governor's office and the Secretary of State's office, Which was the order? Do you remember? I don't. Doesn't matter.
It was Secretary of State. And first of all, I'd like to say this, and you understand that when we went, that we were expecting that they would be excited to have this information. How excited were they?
I would say they were a little upset. I mean, if upsetness it can be equated to excitement, then yeah, they were a little excited in a negative way. But anyway, we went to the Secretary of State's office. She was out of town, but the Assistant Secretary of State was there.
And that's Beth Chapman, the Secretary of State.
Beth Chapman, yeah, and I will throw in, incidentally, Beth and I have been good friends for a long time. But, one must do what one must do.
That's right.
And the deputy was a nice lady. She was cordial. She accepted our white paper, and we discussed it with her. And she said, well, in effect, and this is not a direct quote, but in effect, she said, we can't do anything with this.
Why?
She said, we have no money for investigations. We have no power to investigate anyone. We are not an investigative agency. So that was the answer we got there.
Well, how did go into how the system worked, which was amazing for us to understand. We got an education ourselves when we were there, because you would think that we would take it to our elected officials,
right,
who verify things. A lot of them are lawyers,
right,
and they would have this information. What the Secretary of State said, it says, well, it's not our responsibility. We don't have an investigator to investigate this kind of information, although it's been out there. This kind of information has been out there for months that people would look at it. And because she says that we don't do that. We leave that up to the responsibility of the parties to do that.
Nope.
So if the Republican Party, if the Republican Party brings a candidate to be on the ballot, they feel that, I'm sure that party has already done that investigation.
So they rely 100% on the word of the party to determine whether this candidate meets the
that would seem to be the case from what we've said. I don't really accept that. I can't really believe that satisfies the law. But George has said it correctly as it has been explained to us.
That's hard to believe.
I know.
That's just hard to believe.
It's hard for us to hear it.
And of course, they assume that they're going to be told the truth.
Yeah.
About this, right?
Yeah. Anyway, from there we went down the corridor to the
governor.
To the governor's. We did not get past the guard at the door of the governor's office, but the guard called in, and a lady came out and joined us, and we sat down and chatted with her in the corridor for a while, and gave her the white paper. And so that was that. We gave it to those three officials, all indirectly: the Attorney General, Secretary of State, and the governor. So now it was,
and did not get any positive response from them about it at all.
No. Nobody said, gee whiz, I'm so glad you told me that.
That's amazing. Let's go to a commercial here, and we'll come back and we'll finish this. This is exciting information. We'll be right back after this.
Got problems with these? Ants, bees, roaches, termites, ticks, spiders, or fleas? Call Safari Pest Solutions. They can tame your jungles. Their staff combines for over 50 years' experience in the pest control industry. Their services are thorough and their prices are honest, fair, and reasonable. Call Safari Pest Solutions now at 205-578-BUGS. That's 205-578-2847.
Do you need help promoting your business? Do you want to have that special day captured forever, or that first Christmas or first birthday never forgotten? Then contact Celebrity Productions. We offer wedding videos of photography, picture slideshows with music, video editing, television commercials, and much more. So if you are ready to do business, contact Mark Bosch with Celebrity Productions at 205-434-1773 or mark.celebrityproductions@gmail.com. Celebrity Productions, here for all your video capturing needs.
All right, folks, we're back with the Freedom Report. with Hugh McInnish and George in the middle of this incredible drama that he's got going here. All right, so we've been to the Secretary of State, we've been to the Attorney General, and we've been to the Governor with the evidence that you pulled together.
Yes.
And not one of them patted you on the back, thanked you for doing all this work for you. They just kind of said, see you later.
Yeah. And I might interject one thing here. You know, we citizens have a duty to report suspected crimes.
Right.
Each and every one of us does.
That's
In
right.
fact, it has essentially fallen out of use lately, but there is a very old crime in the common law, which is still on the books,
Right.
called misprison. And misprison is the crime of failing to report a crime when you know about it. And in the past, people have been prosecuted for that. But now, no one is. I haven't heard of anyone having been prosecuted for misprison, and I've never heard of it. And in fact, it's almost now where the officials would rather not hear about it. No. Go away. I've got a lot to do. Don't bother
That
me.
reminds me of the Bible verse, knowing what is right and not doing it is a sin.
Yeah.
Same thing.
The sins of omission.
Omission.
Absolutely true. Anyway, we're on the steps, and I had notified all of the news outlets in the state,
Right.
print and electronic. Two Montgomery TV stations showed up. They were the local affiliates of a couple of the networks.
And you had a traffic jam in Montgomery getting all the TV vans in there.
No,
It was the other side of the camera.
I'm sure.
No, I directed traffic.
I was going to say George would be glad to go out there and direct
traffic.
And he was ready to do that, but we didn't have to press him into service.
I see.
Anyway, the two TV stations took some footage, but they never used an inch of it.
Wow.
It went nowhere.
Wow.
And we had a handful of very nice, faithful followers. And we had one particularly avid attendee. And that would be Judge Mark Kennedy, who is the chairman of the Alabama Democrat Party.
Wow.
He, together with his executive director, was there. And we noticed after we had finished, he was volunteering some comments to the TV stations. Whether they showed any of that, I'm not sure.
And they were ardent supporters of what you were saying, right?
Well, let me put it to you this way. You might be surprised. They were the very ones who reported on it.
We got more media attention from them than ours is doing it.
Mark, shortly after that, was up here in Huntsville, Alabama, for the inaugural meeting of the Democratic Men's Club.
Okay.
And he was the featured speaker. And that was put on their website. And here was Mark Kennedy's picture here. And here was mine here, replete with a photoshopped tinfoil hat.
Oh, you're kidding.
No.
Oh, you're kidding. Well, I wish we had that picture. I'd put that on the screen and let people see it.
Well, you can retrieve it and put it up there.
Wow.
I have to tell you, maybe I'm different, but I absolutely loved it.
Did
I
you?
really did, yeah.
Outstanding.
I really did.
That's great.
And let me tell you what it obviously shows. Mark didn't say one word in refutation of what I said.
Right.
He didn't challenge any of the facts I gave.
Right.
He didn't quarrel with any of my logic.
Right.
He just concentrated on the tinfoil hat and how much of a bigot and a racist I was and all of that stuff.
Well, you know, that's Alinsky's way of doing things.
Yeah, I'm sure it is. Straight. But listen, for those who may not remember, Mark Kennedy is a former member of the Alabama Supreme Court.
That's scary.
A former member of the Alabama Supreme Court who resorts to these low-down, gutter, ad hominem attacks. That is just beyond belief.
You know what that tells me? You hit pay dirt.
I think you're right. He's scared of me.
That's right.
He's scared of me. because he knows I'm telling the truth. He knows I've got the facts, and he doesn't have any facts or any logic that he can use to refute it.
There's a saying that I say a lot to people at the Madison Institute that says, when you hear the demons scream, you know the Holy Spirit is near.
Yes.
And I think you just hit that right on the head right there.
I believe so. I hope so. And, you know, another quotation, which I love, comes from John Adams. He said, facts are very stubborn things.
That's right. Ronald Reagan used that quite often, too.
Yeah, he did. And they're hard to get rid of. Once something becomes a fact, you can't unfact it. If the bell is wrong, you can't unring it.
That's right. So the horse is out of the barn now with respect to the facts about his birth certificate.
Yes, I think so. I hope so. And I hope that people will give this thing its due. And I appreciate the opportunity here to be with you all and to promulgate some of these facts. I just hope that your listeners, you know, I can't, we can't do anything but just skim the surface with the minutes that we have here. I hope that they will go to the website and pull up the white paper and read it and digest it.
Oh, I think they will. Now, we are going to go to another commercial here in just a second. And we're going to come back and we're going to finish your story, because I think there's some more to the story about after the press conference, right?
There is. That's perhaps the most interesting part.
All right, so stay tuned, guys. We'll be right back after this commercial.
Do you need help promoting your business? Do you want to have that special day captured forever, or that first Christmas or first birthday never forgotten? Then contact Celebrity Productions. We offer wedding videos of photography, picture slideshows with music, video editing, television commercials, and much more. So if you are ready to do business, contact Mark Bosch with Celebrity Productions at 205-434-1773 or mark.celebrityproductions@gmail.com. Celebrity Productions, here for all your video capturing needs.
Got problems with these? Ants, bees, roaches, termites, ticks, spiders, or fleas? Call Safari Pest Solutions. They can tame your jungles. Their staff combines for over 50 years' experience in the pest control industry. Their services are thorough and their prices are honest, fair, and reasonable. Call Safari Pest Solutions now at 205-578-BUGS. That's 205-578-2847.
Well, Catherine Encina, the sheriff says maybe Congress needs to take this on next. It all started up again when the Tea Party of Surprise asked Sheriff Joe Arpaio to investigate. He in turn asked his volunteer cold case posse to dig in. Now, we spoke with the head of that team this afternoon, who refused to talk to us about that so-called person of interest. However, he did say this may be the biggest scandal perpetrated on the American people. One of the biggest scandals, rather, perpetrated on the American people.
Oh my God. Nobody wanted this. You know, nobody wants to think this is happening, you know, in their country.
Lead investigator Michael Zullo claims the group didn't set out to take down the president.
Our goal in the beginning was to prove this document authentic. The problem is the evidence kept taking us somewhere else.
He says it took 6 months and 2,200 hours to come to the conclusion that President Obama's birth certificate from Hawaii, released by the White House last April, was manufactured.
It never was a paper document. It was literally created in the mind of a computer and resides on cyberspace.
The White House responded today by pointing to the president's comments last year regarding the same issue.
We're not going to be able to solve our problems if we get distracted by sideshows and carnival barkers.
This is your face, your reputation, your name in the front of this investigation. How comfortable are you making these allegations?
I'm very comfortable because we did seek the advice of experts regarding this. You can build the document. We could take the document apart out of the same file released by the White House. You can't do that if you just scan in a birth certificate or any other document.
What do you say to the naysayers? And there are a lot of critics out there saying this is all, you know, a bunch of BS.
Prove it. We did. We proved our point. That document's created.
All right, we're back with George Berry and Hugh McInnish. Now, Hugh, when we left, we were still standing on the steps of the courthouse after the press conference. What happened next?
Well, we had completed the press conference, and I told you about the sequel here in Huntsville and how the chairman of the Democrat Party responded. He put a tinfoil hat on my head. He honored me with that. Well, we came back to Huntsville and regrouped and decided that we were going to try the legal approach. So, together with my great friend Dean Johnson, who is an attorney, we put together a petition for a writ of mandamus. Now, for viewers who may be rusty on their history or their law, let me say briefly that mandamus is a Latin word which means we demand, and it is a very ancient legal device that was in the common law of England for I think centuries really, and was inherited by the colonies and in time by the states themselves. And you can use it if you can get a court to issue a writ of mandamus to an official, for example, demanding that that official do his or her duty, then you may achieve what needs to be achieved. In our case, and it's titled McInnish versus Chapman. Okay. Chapman being Secretary of State. Beth Chapman, who is Secretary of State, not suing her personally, but in her official capacity as the Secretary of State. And we said, we request the Honorable Court to issue a writ of mandamus to the Secretary of State, compelling her to go to Mr. Obama and tell him that as a prerequisite to her placing him on the Alabama ballot, that he must supply her with a bona fide birth certificate, and that such certificate should be of the same character and the same quality as that required for a 15-year-old to get a learner's license in Alabama.
Not a high standard.
No. Well, it is a high standard for a birth certificate, but it's something easily achieved.
Sure.
No investigation would be needed. Chapman had said earlier that she had no funds for an investigation. This doesn't require any funds. She needs to buy a 44-cent stamp, and the envelope costs something, I guess. She's already got an assistant who can type out the letter, and you can say, "Dear Mr. Obama," and from that, let me see your birth certificate. That is what we were asking for from the courts.
Just a simple request.
That simple, and of course there are more details to it. But again, you can see that on my website. You can get the whole petition if you want to go that deeply into it. Well, we made a mistake in submitting it directly to the Alabama Supreme Court. In our reading of the law, we thought that was proper, but the Supreme Court did not agree with that. They said, we don't have jurisdiction of this case. Implication being you've got to start at a lower court. But here is a very interesting thing that occurred. All of the fruit that this work yielded was not bitter. And I'll tell you what I mean. On the court is one Justice Tom Parker. And he wrote a concurrence, a separate opinion that did concur with the court as a whole. But he added this, and I hope our listeners will hear up.
Yeah, listen carefully to what he said.
It is one short paragraph, and in fact, it's one fairly long sentence. Here it is. McInnish has attached certain documentation for his mandamus petition which, if presented to the appropriate forum as part of a proper evidentiary presentation, would raise serious questions about the authenticity of both the, quote, short form, unquote, and the, quote, long form, unquote, birth certificates of President Barack Hussein Obama that have been made public.
Wow.
Now, I just wonder how Judge Kennedy would react to his colleague on the Alabama Supreme Court in light of this opinion. Will he fashion a tinfoil hat for him?
I'd like to see that.
Yes.
So essentially what he's saying is that there's where there's smoke, there's fire.
Boy, I'll tell you what. I think he's going a little further than that. I think he's seeing the flame itself.
I agree with you. I think he is.
So,
that's amazing.
Where do we go from here?
Yep.
Dean Johnson and I are putting our heads together, and we're not giving up. We're going to make another legal thrust in the near future. I won't say at this point what it is.
Okay.
But this is phase one of our campaign.
Good.
And we lost in the main, but I think that we have inflicted some serious casualties on General Judge Parker's troops with this, what we gleaned from Justice Parker.
Absolutely. Well, Hugh, George, I want to thank y'all for coming on the show.
Thanks for asking us.
This is it's incredibly essential. I think our viewers, what they should be doing now is going in and looking at this information on his website. And I think they need to call and express their opinion to their elected officials as to why, A, they haven't spent the time in investigating it themselves, and B, calling the Secretary of State or calling the Attorney General, wanting to know why they, since you have now laid it out on a silver platter, why they haven't picked this thing up and run with it.
Good questions. I'd appreciate that doing that. I really would.
But Hugh, thank you. We appreciate you doing this for us. We encourage you. We're going to be praying for the effort that you're going out here.
Thank you very much.
We're going to be praying that this is successful. This is important, guys. This is seriously important to our state. And so I ask you guys to be praying for them as well, for wisdom, for knowledge, for understanding as to how to maneuver through the courts here so that we get an answer. You know, we want the right answer. We want the truth to be revealed here, and then let the truth, fall where it may. I think that's all any of us are asking for, is that the truth be presented to the public.
You said it well. Absolutely.
So thanks for the time. We will see you next week, and we're going to have some more interesting guests here next week. So that's it for the Freedom Report this week. We'll see y'all next week.
You're the God of this city. You're the King of these people. You're the Lord of this nation. You are. You're the light in this darkness. You're the hope to the hopeless.